Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to this new edition of the morning briefing. Let's start with the Solitore K. Regarding what happened yesterday, a day marked by a good upward push, except for the morning, which started a bit on the downside and made us worry, precisely because prices had settled on important levels that had marked, after which the market found a solid support base. It began a strong upward push that led prices to break through important levels on the rise. Probably also a bit as a consequence there on rumors of a thaw in the war, on the Aussie issue, so much so that even China, as I mentioned yesterday, for the United States, they are envisioning scenarios on the horizon with a lack of goods on the shelves, somewhat like what happened during COVID. And this is the flip side of the coin, that China is finding itself in the same situation. And so just yesterday, or rather last night, there were rumors that China has opened up on the, let's say, eliminate tariffs on some US goods. So this begins to open up some room for negotiation, a sort of thaw in this sense. And the markets, of course, immediately benefited from it. The stock markets, obviously, from a macro perspective. Today, there are no significant data. In terms of releases, yesterday there were the unemployment data, which continue to be quite good. So the uncertainty practically from entrepreneurs has not yet transferred into the real economy. So this, in short, still provides rather good data. What else from yesterday? There was Alphabet's quarterly report, which in the after hours had reached 5.23%, so definitely good. While at the opening there was Intel's, which had gained 4% throughout the session, only to lose it all in the after hours. We will see what developments occur. That said, after this brief recap, today is Friday, so please exercise maximum caution. Also, because there aren't really any very important data, there might be statements that could change the state of things. As always, utmost attention, especially because it's Friday. Let's move on from a technical point of view. So, as we were saying about the NASDAQ, starting with the NASDAQ, let's put up a 4-hour chart so we have a clearer idea. Here it is. We are working above this high here, which was, in short, the first obstacle to overcome. We've overcome it, and we are working above it. There. With a bit of uncertainty, because, the markets at this moment are obviously closed. It's just 9:30 in Europe, and we are working. So, above this high here, so 19,330, 19.3, so the HVSD0 area is the area I would monitor during the day. So holding this level could provide the bullish push also for a recovery of RD2, which is, the first base. Then, a little foray probably into the Vicus area. It certainly could happen, but it will depend on the downward momentum at the time. Obviously, we keep open every possibility for any downward scenario. Let's look. It remains to be monitored. In my opinion, this area around 19,000 at the moment, because this one seems a bit quite distant. So downward. We monitor this area here of 19,000 to 19,000, 70, 19,000. So between these highs here is SD2, where we also have on some of the BC3 levels that we might see later on the 5-minute chart. So we monitor this area downward. Perfect. With that said, let's move on to Let's take a quick look at it on the 5-minute chart. Okay. Here it is. We are working in short within the BC3 levels. In short, since last night, these are the new ones for today, quite distant from yesterday's. So the breaking of these levels, as we mentioned, could lead to a test of RD2 for sure. Perfect. Now let's move on. Let's go to where it is. This nice line that we drew some time ago has remained there at 5,560. We are working below it. So I expect a test of this level. A break of RD1 will definitely bring prices into this area here between 5,630 and 5,650. Thank you. On the downside, we always look at a 4-hour chart. Here it is. So we monitor the downside area 5,510, 5,490 with SD0. And this is the important support that must hold in order to provide a consequence, a continuation of this downward movement. Obviously, monitoring the break of this level could lead prices to test this area here. 5360 again, certainly the more interesting support level, 5385, 360. To the upside, we mentioned 5.5 and 60. This is the area we will monitor, because the break of this area here where we are, you can see how there are these lows here and these lows here, and we are working just below them. So a break of this area here with 5.5 and 60, which is this red line that today corresponds with RD1, could easily push prices above this area here, which then corresponds to this if we exclude the two shadows, and 5,700 in short, the target of a potential push. Let's move on to the other American futures, starting with the Dow Jones. Here it is. But at the moment, while it's doing this sideways between HV and R, close to HV, let's say we can identify this between RD0 and SD0 as extreme levels on the downside, essentially to monitor. Here is this area here, which then corresponds to the 40,000 zone with these highs. So with a maximum excursion up to SD1. So SD1, it's the area to absolutely hold to allow for continuation, even compared to, for example, ES and Nasdaq. You see that the Dow Jones is still below the highs recorded on Wednesday. So this is still the obstacle to overcome. On the upside, which is 48.8, 41,000, that is 45, 46, 45, 46. As the first obstacle, and then subsequently the area of 41,000 on the downside. So we definitely hold SD1. And then there are these two levels, BC3 with SD2, which are certainly another important support. Let's also take a look at the Russell, which is in a similar situation to the Dow Jones. We are below these highs here of 1980, so a break of 1980, 2000. In short, it could give a nice boost, a nice upward push, because 2000 certainly represents a psychological threshold for the round number on the downside. Let's monitor this area of these two highs here, even if they are a bit offset. But this is the area to watch. I would say 1950, 1930 is the area I would monitor for potential bearish attacks. Okay, we have the DAX left. Today, in Europe, it's a holiday. In Italy, it's Liberation Day. But anyway, it has decided to end everything, to work. At the moment, this is the DAX. We are working above the levels. HV. In short, the push is always good on which three best to be a retest of these highs recorded here. And yesterday, then I talked continue upwards, downwards, so we monitor this R4, 3, SD0, SD1, while upwards, in short, RD1. It seems to me the clearest area to pass for a potential upward attacks in the VIX area, which certainly represent a significant obstacle in the area. 20.7, 22.8. Let's move on to oil. Here it is. At this moment, Well, yesterday it held at 61.50. 61.50. Perfectly. Well, it's a little bit moving sideways, probably waiting for developments in the Aussie scenario, which could certainly lead the price to another part to increase. For itself, the trades and things will find a balance and thus lead to new commercial developments. From an operational point of view, we will monitor. Certainly RD1 at this moment seems the clearest to me because it corresponds to these highs here and these here. So we monitor RD1 for an upward or downward movement. This level seems quite evident to me. Between 2SD0 and SD1, so this whole area is to be kept just like yesterday. So it could also be a day of trading range in this area, and in short, staying within this range here. So we monitor income, RD1, SD1 as a range, and then evaluate the potential breakout from one side or the other. Let's obviously take a look at gold, which is experiencing some liquidation of large positions, as I mentioned yesterday morning. In short, we continue to correct a little, and also obviously for the recovery of the indices. In short, of the stock indices. They have given the signal, but a bit of correction in short, calmly. But the price trend remains nice, set upwards. We'll see, this could also be a simple correction. In short, after the long rally, at the moment the price is working below the red SD1. In short, it has made, let's say, a double top. In short, between yesterday's high, Thursday's day, and last night, it made this double top. In short, so this is definitely the area to monitor, area 3,380 for potential in short breakouts upwards or downwards. At this moment, we need to remonitor this because right now 3,320 has been broken. They are retesting it from below. So a re-entry into the range could lead to an attack on 3,380, certainly. A rejection of re-entry into this range could easily lead prices to retest these lows. Lows that, why not, could even go a bit further and perhaps settle in this area here, positioned lower in the 3240, 3250 range. Okay. Let's also take a look at SPX, of course. In short, a situation obviously mirroring S. Let's look at it on the 4-hour chart. Yesterday it recovered. Now we are above that famous triangle. Here it is. Perfect. So in short, a nice recovery. If the upward momentum continues, now we have this obstacle here in the 5530 area, roughly corresponding today to the area between RD1 and RD0. So a break of this area here could easily lead prices to test today's VIX area, which certainly then are the second important obstacle on the downside, because as always we must keep ourselves open to every possibility. Let's monitor first of all the area of yesterday's lows, so the area of 5,380, 5,370, which is certainly the area that must hold to allow the continuation of the movement. Let's also look at the cryptocurrencies that we have started to launch. This XRP, let's see. So a look at Bitcoin USD. At the moment, let's see it on a chart. Maybe we'll look at it together. This is a 4-hour chart. At this moment, there was this nice drop. With this double top, there was a nice drop. There was this test here. Now we are testing this very area here. So a potential break of the 95,000 area. In this case, I believe it could give a nice bullish push even up to 100,000. Obviously, the break of the 92,000 area, 91, 92, 91 and a half, 92, could certainly lead prices to retest the 85,000 areas. Well, in the operational detail of the day, let's see it here, 5 minutes. At the moment we are working within the BC3 levels, so it might be a bit of a range day as well. Below the HV level, there was this spike that led to a very precise test of RD0. Okay? Then with this text, it's recovering, so let's monitor this reacquisition of SD0 and HV for those who are trading it, because there might be a new break, maybe with a spike towards RD2. A possible test of RD1 could also be a valid area. The rejection could easily bring prices back to this area here between SD0 and SD1, which seems the most interesting as a support point. The break of these levels could obviously also give them a downward push and could bring prices towards the level of today or the minimum range, which then corresponds to this entire area here that was broken and tested twice. Thank you. Then it started again, so there could also be a 4-3 test, maybe a break and a deeper test of the situation. Perfect. Having said that, we have reached the end of this morning briefing. As always, please pay maximum attention. Today is Friday. We'll catch up later in the chat, and thank you all for your attention.